Travis Wayne Goodsell. The other video I did yesterday is not getting sufficient views, so we'll redo it, retitle it, and see if that does better. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has us as missionaries go tell the world about the first vision about Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ being two separate entities, that Jesus is the Christian correction of the Gospels. They teach us about, or they have us teach about the visit of Moroni and about the gold plates. Yes, gold, according to the canon of history. And that Joseph Smith was able to translate, having both Urim and Thummim and rocks in a hat. And we sort of leave out the sword of Laban that he apparently had. We never talk about Lucy Mack saying, "Joseph, what are you doing with that sword? Who gave that to you?" Then we have angels that appear and lay their hands upon Joseph, giving him keys and authority. And we don't stop to think or question that those are all just myths. They're not facts. Facts are able to be supported by evidence. If you can't support it with evidence, nobody else can verify your claims as fact. And so it's necessary to have that done. Then you get contradictory information. If Joseph Smith's 1838 history about the first vision is supposed to be true, then why does the Book of Mormon state that we're supposed to be after the learning of the Jews? Because the learning of the Jews indicates to us that Jesus Christ has not been to earth yet. Because any such claim for such a person has failed. And there is no second chance for a second coming to fix what he failed in his first attempt. He's supposed to do it the first time around. That's the learning of the Jews. So again, the first vision claims that Jesus Christ appeared in his physical body to Joseph Smith, meaning he'd already been to earth, died, was resurrected. That's the Christian learning. So what's up? Is the Book of Mormon true? Or is Mormonism just another Christian branch off, claiming a different slant to the religion? Because the Jewish Messiah is a mortal man, descended from King David, but would rise up to restore the kingdom of David. Just that simple. No supernatural beasts and dragons or anything like that. So a big difference. One is based in reality, the other is supernatural. Supernatural cannot be established as fact. Something that's reality, yeah, you can. We can establish it as fact if we can replicate it. But it allows us to replicate it. And so if the Book of Mormon is not the keystone of our religion, as Mormons, what is the Book of Mormon for? Is it just something we go around to lure people in? But the Book of Mormon says Jesus Christ, Travis. Yeah, but you have to understand it as the learning of the Jews. So there was no first vision unless you're calling it a dream, not something that actually happened. So the church promotes it as a physical manifestation of Heavenly Father and Jesus to Joseph Smith. And so as a child, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm being told that I can't see the face of Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ until after I'm baptized, after I receive the temple ordinances and pass through the veil. Thus I'm able to see the face of God. And there's a little bit of a contradiction of whether only the president of the church can see God face to face in the Holy of Holies, or if any member who has passed through the veil is therefore authorized. And so there's that contradiction as well. And in Mormonism, when we encounter these contradictions, the typical response is to brush it off and say, well, I'll wait until the millennium to find out. I'll wait until after I'm dead. It's not essential to my eternal salvation. Wait a minute, yes. The whole point of the religion is about returning to the presence of Heavenly Father. So yes, it is kind of essential. So that excuse does not hold water. And so what are the facts if the first vision, Moroni, and gold plates are not reality in the church? What then is reality? What is the truth? What are the facts of Mormonism? The facts of Mormonism? The facts of Mormonism? Da, 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 da. Didn't watch that show too much, but I'm familiar with it. As a young boy, the young girls were hot to me. If you don't know the Facts of Life TV show, you're lost. So the facts begin with the humanization. Yeah, I know. The church came out and said, oh, we don't want you to humanize Joseph Smith. He's godlike. Yeah, they wanted to supernaturalize him, not call him human. There was that big push. But we have to see them as us. Joseph Smith has to be seen like us, because that's how we view God in our religion. Joseph Smith's King Follett Discourse led to the quote, as man is, God once was, as God was, man may become. That's the whole point and purpose, is to humanize deity so that it becomes within our reach to become gods ourselves. That's why Mormons aren't Christian, is because we believe we can become gods. Not just Christ-like, but actually gods. And if we create a supernatural deity, then yeah, Christians are going to mock us and condemn us for blasphemy. But if we tell them we're not Christian, we're after the learning of the Jews, you're anti-Semitic, you have to allow us to practice our religion, but the church won't do that. And so, yes, we do need to liken Joseph Smith unto ourselves. And when we do that, we then see the first vision, the Moroni appearing. I almost slipped up on that, because the fact is that Joseph Smith always called him Nephi, not Moroni. That's the fact. It was Brigham Young and crew that changed it. And so now the church says, oh, well, we were just conforming it to the harmonize with what actually happened. No. You altered the documents. Don't alter the documents. Leave them as they were. Joseph Smith even told Brigham Young, no, I do not like this second edition of the Book of Mormon. Put it back the way it was. Did you even know that? Yeah, well, when Joseph died, was murdered, Brigham Young immediately put it back to his edited version. That shows you how much Brigham Young and Joseph Smith were not friends, as the church says that Brigham and Joseph were. See, Sidney Rigdon and Joseph Smith were the bestest of friends. Big difference. Sidney and Brigham were not the bestest of friends either, because Sidney didn't go with Brigham Young. Wonder why. Sidney was earlier than Brigham Young. I'm already suffering the consequences of going 2 days without running. And so the facts is that Sidney Rigdon wrote the Book of Mormon, the majority of it. Let me put in the picture for you. So the fact is that Joseph Smith called Brigham Young Judas. Did you know that? It was an 1839 private meeting with the 12, which were the 12 apostles in the sense of ministry, not administration. Again, it is fiction to assume that the current administration is the same administration that Joseph Smith had. You're just deceiving yourself. They were not the same. Completely different administration. And if you're going around telling the world that the same administration that Joseph had is the same that we have today, and Brigham Young was the true successor, you're lying to people. And I don't think you want to be a liar, do you? Because that reprimand given to the Brighamite 12 is because of what they did to Thomas B. Marsh. They chased him out of the church, not just out of being the president of the 12. Thomas B. Marsh, the one where the Brighamite Church claims it was because of his wife stealing the milk shreddings or cream or whatever it is from the milk, that she was supposed to give all of it and she held some back. No, it's all a lie. Thomas B. Marsh left the church on his own cognizance, saying this secret band of Gadianton robbers called the Danites within this church is intolerable. I'm out. I want nothing to do with this organization. They're constantly getting Joseph Smith in trouble with the law, and so I'm out. This was in 1838. This is why I call that year the leadership crisis, because these Danites, just like the secret Gadianton band, had infiltrated Mormonism. Guess who the leader was? And when they were constantly getting Joseph Smith arrested, and so who was left to lead the church? You have Brigham Young, who tries to exalt himself. This is what Joseph accuses Brigham of doing in that 1839 reprimand. That's why he calls him Judas. It's because Brigham Young was purposely trying to exalt himself to lead the church in Joseph's absence. He has no keys of authority to do so, and yet there he was, still trying to do it. They had the High Council. That was the administrative 12, and that had some Smith brothers in there. Although Joseph had William Smith in the Brigham's 12. But again, in 1838, Brigham even had William excommunicated and booted out of his 12 so that he could rise up with a vote to make him the president. Because in section 107, it talks about how you have to have a unanimous vote for leadership. Per se, it could be interpreted that way, and so Brigham Young made sure to kick out anybody who would oppose him. And that comes into bearing, as Joseph had to put William Smith back in when he got out of prison in 1839, but then got put right back into prison, and came out with his The Government Will Be Ruined Constitution, Brink of Ruin, in 1840, when he got out again. And so, lots of leaders were chased out. David Whitmer was another one. David Whitmer already had Oliver Cowdery, his brother-in-law, who left the church because he didn't like Joseph and Sidney being bestest of buddies. And so he left, and I think that's what triggered the Danites to rise up at that moment. But without these facts of history, you're not going to understand and clarify the fiction that is being promoted in its place. And so, what then is the Book of Mormon? Is it gold plates? Is it actual Egyptian here in America? Were they buried in the Hill Cumorah? When you understand the facts of history, one of those facts that the church doesn't talk to us about is that Joseph Smith Sr. was a part of the Canandaigua Lodge. You will find that in his Wikipedia page. They say he's a member of the Canandaigua Lodge in New York. They do not tell you Canandaigua Lodge was Yorkites. For that, you need to go to Heber C. Kimball's Wikipedia page, where he claims that he went to the Canandaigua Lodge in 1824 and requested a major rank advancement after becoming a Master Mason himself in the Yorkites. And so you have to identify all the different Wikipedia pages to put all the pieces together, confirm what is true, and weed out what is fiction, lies, to understand the real history of what happened. And in so doing, identifying Yorkites, if you just assume that all Freemasonry is the same, you're not living in reality. You're helping to perpetuate the lie. Because there were also Scottish rites. That was Brigham and Heber. Heber wasn't Yorkites. What's he doing getting a rank advancement in the Yorkites? Nonetheless, the bigger question is, why does Heber C. Kimball not identify and recognize Joseph Smith Sr. when he goes to apply for the rank advancement? See, these are the questions that the church leaves wide open for anybody who does the actual research. Just like with Sidney Rigdon, the church wants to claim, well, he didn't join until December of 1830. How could he have written the Book of Mormon? Exactly. How could he? Because it's obvious as fact he did. And so then you got to look at the other events that took place. And we realize, oh, the Smiths were poor. That's why they needed Martin Harris to pay for the publication of the book. But if Sidney Rigdon is the author, how did he get paid? Well, when he joins the church, he gets to do exactly what he wanted to do, but Alexander Campbell didn't let him, and that's why he left the Campbellites. He gets a bigger audience for his sermons. He's the number one guy to Joseph Smith, and he gets to rewrite the whole Bible. Yeah, that's Sidney's. That's the big controversy that he left the Campbellites for. Alexander Campbell only wanted to revise the New Testament, and he did. And Sidney said, nope, I'm out. The Old Testament also has to be revised so that the two become harmonized. The Old Testament leading to the New Testament to become one. Prophecy, fulfillment in one. Nope, Alexander Campbell didn't want none of the Old Testament. So Sidney left. Joseph Smith, yeah, let's put you right to work. It's almost as if he's getting paid for something that he had done previously for the Smiths. And, Joseph Smith becomes bestest of buds with Sidney Rigdon, not Brigham Young. So, It's these little facts that need to be understood in context so that we don't get deceived by all of this myth that is being perpetuated in the church. Because now that you know the difference between York and Scottish rites, yeah, you have to do the research on those too. And so Scottish rites are your 33 degrees, and the Illuminati, if you know Anonymous's Illuminati song, 33 degrees Illuminati. Yeah, they know. We all know. It's fact. The Illuminati infiltrated the Scottish rites, thus causing the anti-Mason movement in 1826. And so, what then is the York rites, if they're not the 33 degrees? They're Knights Templar. Oh, that's that Holy Grail thing, and Egyptian treasure plates that resulted in Friday the 13th, and the Kensington Stone, the purchase of America for the sole purpose of building the New Jerusalem here in America, not in Jerusalem, America. And they buried their Egyptian treasure plates in the ground. That immediately should spark a factual connection. It's technically a secondary fact. But if you do not recognize the connection, again, you're promoting the lie. You're allowing yourself to believe in falsehood. You're not pursuing the truth about what really happened. What is really going on with the organization that has become the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which Joseph never called it that. Joseph always called it the Church of Christ, purposely leaving out Jesus, because learning of the Jews, remember? His name is supposed to be Amen, the God Amen. You're going, what? Isaiah, a sign in the heavens, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Jesus? What? No, Matthew, you're wrong. You said it. Emmanuel, the God Amen, not God with us. Get that post-Hebrew out of here. It's the Egyptian god Amen that is the sun at noonday. Anybody pay attention to 1 Nephi chapter 1? Lehi has a dream of seeing someone in outer space, a sign in the heavens, who's like the sun at noonday. Not a coincidence, as Joseph Smith even calls him Amen. That is the learning of the Jews. He did not come to the Americas. That's all fiction. The reason why it's fiction is because it's code. Doctrine and Covenants, section 1, verse 16. If you don't know that the Doctrine and Covenants was encoded, and that in 1981 there was an effort to try to decode as much as they could. Well, why didn't they decode Babylon? Verse 16. All Mormons know what it is. No, it's not the world. The elders of Israel tells us it's America. Joseph Smith knew. In 1840, he says, the government of America will be on the brink of ruin, along with the Constitution that is being trod underfoot. We are witnesses to that right now. And if you didn't know, section 45, verse 31, is right there in the latter day signs in the heavens and the coming of this Jewish Messiah. So he can't be a Christian Messiah coming from outer space. He can't have supernatural powers. So even Jesus and the Jews are code in this section. They missed that too. And so what you have in 31 is a desolating scourge. Desolating sickness. A sickness? You mean like a virus? During the time of the latter days, with the particular signs in the heavens? Are you aware that when signs in the heavens are given in Scripture, they're giving us a date? This is the one thing I've never understood about any of the religions giving dates for the latter days. They have the dates. The Scriptures give them to us. They hand them to us. Here it is. Here's the date. Do they use it in our Gregorian? We don't use Gregorian. We use the Julian. No, it is Gregorian. Pope Gregory. The Julian is the Roman period one. The Gregorian calendar. That's our calendar. Yeah, are they going to use it? Well, it was written before Pope Gregory, before his calendar redesign, where Septem is now the 9th month instead of the 7th, and Decem is the 12th month instead of the 10th month. If you didn't know your Latin, and how our calendar does not conform to the names given to them. And so the two main signs in the heavens that Smith uses, which is in the Book of Mormon, give us the dates from Revelation 12 and Revelation 19. See, as missionaries, we all went out and said, oh, the highlight of the Book of Mormon is here in 3rd Nephi chapter 11, when Jesus Christ, the gospel Christian God, who has a body of flesh and bones, not supernatural like you Christians believe, came to the Americas, and it's recorded in this history book of the indigenous American Indians. No, never happened. It's code. Because again, what happens? The people have just gone through an attempted coup d'etat of their government, then natural disasters that laid waste to the land, and so they're all now gathered at Bountiful, and then from out of the sky comes the death sign. Where's the horse? Revelation 19 says he comes flying on a horse. Where's the horse? Isn't that how he does it? Not this pillar of light thing. Comes flying down on a horse. from outer space. Because obviously that's real. It has nothing to do with the constellation Pegasus and Pisces. Yeah, that's the sign, written as if it were an actual event. That same sign is given in Lehi's dream of this Messiah as Ammon comes down out of heaven to Lehi and gives him a book about the destruction of Jerusalem by Babylon. And yet it's fulfilled in 3 Nephi 11. As again, Ammon comes from outer space to the people. He even talks about, hey, where's the records? Give me the records. Hey, you're missing Samuel the Lamanite, who gave the signs in the heavens of the birth and the death sign. The same birth and death sign that Lehi got in his dream. These are the facts that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are not letting you know about. What are the Smiths up to? How did they know there was going to be a virus in 2020, the year when the Jews have their calendar date of 3,333, like the 33-degree Masons of the Scottish Rites, from the time that the Jews consider the Exodus to have occurred. Which Exodus, there was 3 days of darkness, stars falling from heaven, and a virus. What's going on? Now, as I told you in the other video, the real story of Mormonism is awesome. I want to be a part of such an organization. It doesn't exist. So yes, I would love to have it revised, restored. I know how to do it. Not complicated. Learning of the Jews, language of the Egyptians. I can do that. Real simple. In anthropology, I was taught about all of the different facets of a religious organization. So you have to cover the ritual, the doctrine, the theology, scripture, and traditional practice. All of those areas need to be dealt with in order to establish a religious organization. If you just do a ritual, or if you just do doctrine, follow me, we're now going to have the word of wisdom, we're the word of wisdom church. Well, what's your theology? What's your doctrine? What's your administration? Scripture? You can't just pick and choose from among those. You have to incorporate all of those different areas in order to be considered a religion. And I hope you understand Joseph never even made it a commandment. It's just a word of wisdom because his wife got mad at him. Making her clean up the mess. All that tobacco. And so, when you realize Sidney Rigdon wrote the Book of Mormon, why then are even ex-Mormons perpetuating the lie that Joseph Smith wrote it? Claiming that he used Captain Kidd as his inspiration, or that they mock him for using rocks in a hat. When you do that, you're claiming Joseph Smith did actually write it, that he just is lying to us of how he wrote it. And what you're trying to get across to other people is that, well, Joseph Smith just made it all up from his head. He's just a great fiction author. No. If Sidney Rigdon is the author, why are you claiming Joseph as the author? Do you not understand? You can't just deny fact to promote your agenda. Joseph had nothing to do with the Book of Mormon. His job was to distract Martin Harris in Harmony, Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh. But again, if you believe the lie and perpetuate the lie, even if you're mocking it, even if you're throwing in the contradictions, but you're not identifying the facts from the fiction, you're going in the wrong direction. So yes, the 116 pages, notice that was not rewritten by Sidney Rigdon. What does the 116 pages start off with, depending on how much 116 pages are? It talks about a tree of life, dreams, by Lehi and Nephi. And it talks about John, that apostle who's going to write a book about the apocalypse. What's going on? What is the tree of life? If you're going to listen to Mormon apologists, they'll sort of tell you, they'll go through all of the world's cultures. Oh, see, everybody has a tree of life, even the Chinese. Oh, therefore the Book of Mormon is a true ancient indigenous history of the Americas. No, that's called fallacy. It's an unsound argument claim to defend the Book of Mormon as fiction, not as fact. The fact is that Joseph Smith Sr. was involved in a religion. Oh, what a shock. I never would have thought of him being a part of a religious organization. Which religious organization is it? Well, they happen to call themselves the New Israelites. You know, the learning of the Jews before the Jews became captive and taken into Babylon. Israelites. The New Israelites. Guess who they believe they were? Descendants of the house of Israel. And that their whole intent and purpose was to establish America as the New Jerusalem. They believed in Hebrew, thus Jewish mysticism. Jewish mysticism? What is that? Sounds like witchcraft to me. They have the tree of life. Oh, so Joseph's dreams of the tree of life. Oh, you know about that. Good for you. Yes, this is why. So, when you're dealing with church history, you've got to assemble the facts. Don't isolate the facts. Because if you just say, hey, Joseph Smith was a part of this New Israelites and Jewish mysticism and thus had dreams, and so therefore he wrote the Book of Mormon. Wait a minute. What? nobody talks about that, do they? They just stop and say, oh, we can't go any further. We don't know how to identify truth. Well, you've already got the setup is all based on Knights Templar. Egyptian treasure plates buried in the ground. Bloodline of Jesus. Mortal Jesus. After the learning of the Jews. Messiah. That's the setup that Joseph Smith talks about with his history. Now you have the Book of Mormon, 116 pages. Joseph blows it. So they have to get Martin Harris out of the picture because Joseph can't do his job to distract Martin Harris. And so Joseph Sr. then takes over to rewrite the first part of the story, as Sidney Rigdon now has to use another book to write the Book of Mormon as we now have it today. And again, Canandaigua, New York. There's a third person that is not connected in Wikipedia. As you may have found out with Heber C. Kimball, there was this anti-Mason movement. Wait a minute. Martin Harris was on the anti-Mason committee in Palmyra. And Joseph was to distract him away from Palmyra over in Harmony, Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh. A direct line between Ohio with Sidney Rigdon and Manchester, just south of Palmyra, in New York. If you disregard the facts and you perpetuate your own belief system, whether you're Mormon, whether you're ex-Mormon, you're gonna be wrong. And if you're an ex-Mormon, it's especially dangerous because you're supposed to be helping people identify that the current church are lying and deceiving. So why then are you perpetuating lies and deceptions, but just of a different form? This is why I'm attacking John Dehlin, because he is perpetuating lies. He apparently doesn't even know that Sidney Rigdon wrote the Book of Mormon. He keeps perpetuating that Joseph Smith did it, and keeps trying to push that Joseph Smith created it from his own imagination as a fiction novel. Sidney Rigdon wrote the Book of Mormon, not Joseph Smith. Don't allow contradictions to creep in from error. There are no contradictions when we look at the facts. So, that's my revision of the video I did earlier. So, yes, the original story I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of that organization that saves America in this certain future time indicated by the signs in the heavens. And there's nobody, because the enemy had done their job. Alrighty.